26, 2025. First order, I'm going to say who's all here. We have Chief Squires here, David Abel, Brian Grimm, Jasper Krugel, myself, Lisa Whalen, council members Kathleen Refkin, Peter Vickery, Claudia Lacey, Brian Govern, Allison Fauski then, and also Gary Peters and Paula Baumann. And then we also have Renee Newman. Hey, I got that right. And Angie. Do you go by Angela or Angie? Okay, Angie Bull. So with that, we have a number of items on the agenda. We have the 26 salary discussion, the water fund budget discussion, hard scrabble update, and then the four-way stop at Lotus Drive and Sunset. I'm going to hand this over to
myself,
Jasper first, and then after Jasper, if you have any questions of him, but I'm going to hand it back to Kathleen. She wants to make some comments, and then we'll have discussion, and so take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. This is an item that was discussed a couple times at the Personnel Committee, and as a reminder, from the Personnel Committee is Councilmember Rupkin, Councilmember Vickery. So we had some good discussion. The Assistant City Administrator was also in, I think, on the second one of that one. So, but what we were discussing is just basically our pay plan in general, and more specifically to the 2026 budget is the cost of living adjustment that City Council controls in that 2026 budget. So in the memo, you can kind of see a brief history. In 2022, we adopted a pay plan, a compensation plan that had a grade step schedule, very similar to some of our comparable cities. And all the employees that are non-union are placed into that grade step plan. You can kind of see how it works. There's 12 grades, 10 steps, and then based on the steps, each step is either between 2.5% and 3.5%. The idea with that was to incentivize longevity. Some of our more senior employees to incentivize getting to that 7, 8, 9, 10 step. So that's in the packet for you to look at. The one that you see in there is the 2025. What happens in 2026, just so everybody's aware, is whatever the COLA is that the City Council adopts, all these numbers in this grid move up that percentage. And then that's what the new pay plan is for 2026. What's in the budget? One more thing about the pay plan. The target of where we want to be within our market, it was 90 to 110%. And part of the reason that we have 110% is because we have some long tenured employees that we indicated that we wanted to make sure that the pay plan got to that level so that they would be able to fit into that pay plan well when we adopted it in 2022. The one big aspect that we one metric that we look at as far as the annual review of the pay plan is where our employees fall within the market. And that's that kind of the average market, or what percentage of the average market. In 2022, when the plan was adopted, we were at 103%. So that's looking at all of the employees that are non-union, where they're at compared to the other comparable cities and comparable positions. And that's basically been flat since then. In 2025, we're at 102%, so it's a little bit lower, but pretty much flat. Let me just kind of go through this. Our comparable cities, if people are looking at this, are generally Corcoran, Dayton, Deep Haven, Medina, Mound, Orono, Shorewood, Victoria, Waconia, Delano, and Wayzata. Kind of see they're kind of centralized in this western metro kind of exurb area, with a couple exceptions. Wayzata is a little bit more, and Waconia is out a little bit, but they have their own kind of little economy going on over there. Some of the data that was requested for us to develop or find is basically a little bit more of a deep dive into what other communities have on our comparable side as far as pay plans go, what they're looking at for COLA in 2026, and what they're looking at for the step increases. So in the packet, you can kind of see that Corcoran, Shorewood, Spring Park, Dayton, Wayzata, Waconia, Mound, Medina, and Minnetrista are all kind of showcased here. All of those cities, including ourselves, have the grade step plan, and all of them have some sort of COLA adjustment annually. And you can kind of see in here the differences between those cities. Kind of varies, a little bit between, 5.5 to 8.5 or 9.5%, something like that. Some of those, like Waconia, I'll just point out, have some market adjustments in them too. So, but for the most part, it's a pretty similar pay plan to what we have. Also included is a piece of information that Brian got when he was at the GFOA conference, ABDO, a financial institution that does kind of consulting for municipalities and other things. They do a survey themselves. I've included that. That has a lot of some of the COLA stuff that we've discussed, that we're discussing tonight, from not only Hennepin County communities, but kind of all over the state. If you're kind of interested in that, it's just more information. I want to say the 3% COLA that's proposed has a cost of about, I'd say, what did I say in here? $63,000 total, of which about half and half is between enterprise funds and the levy. So just as you're talking about this, you kind of know what those metrics are and those levers that you can use. So Councilmember Refkin also included some data that is in here kind of from the spreadsheet that we use ourselves to kind of do the analysis. I don't know, you can explain it probably better than I can if you want. So that's basically the data that we provided to the Personnel Committee. From our perspective, our general analysis year to year, it's pretty much the same as last year. The recommendation is just to keep it in that, keep the pay plan going the way it is, because of just where we're at in the market. It's pretty much where we're in 2022, and we're following, I'd say, if you look at the data, maybe a little bit behind some of the other communities that we compare ourselves to. So that's all I have. That was the information that I provided to the Personnel Committee.
Okay.
And then, yeah, there's some additional information I think Councilmember Refkin would like to talk about.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
So just overall, I think Peter and I both agreed, instead of calling it a COLA, we should start calling it a market adjustment, because it's really not a COLA. Yeah. Second, just so everyone on council's clear on this, everyone, no matter job performance, anything, they get a step increase in July unless they're already at step 10, and then they get a market adjustment January 1. That's how the pay plan's set up. It's not based on performance, longevity, and anything. It's just you move up every year. I'm not recommending any changes to the actual pay plan. The steps, all that is the same. I'm not recommending any of that. The reason that I started looking at this was that Jasper brought up some concerns about wage compression. And so then I started doing a deep dive into it. I looked at comparisons. I looked at all the information that I continue to ask Jasper for. The biggest thing is, if you look at the wages that since the pay plan has been implemented in 2022, they go up approximately $200,000 per year without adding staff, which means by 2028, we will have added over almost $1 million in payroll without adding new staff. And I have for everyone the email that Brian sent me, which breaks that down. And I threw out, obviously, the 24 to 25 was higher because we added it. But if you take out the new salaries, it's $200,000 per year without adding staff. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of money for a city our size, with that it's all paid for by residents. When you're looking at neighboring communities, that's great, but it's not really helpful because it's ours and what affects us. And if you look specifically at our pay plan, which starts on page 12 of the packet, we're high. All of the positions are within neighboring community ranges, except for maybe chiefs, the director of public safety. But even those numbers are slightly skewed because some of them don't have a range. Like the low for South Lake, or that's what SL is, right? South Lake?
Yep.
Yeah, so their low is 84, so they don't have a range. So the scale just has the salary for both of those. So even that is slightly skewed. And in fact, a few of the positions, such as the director of finance, the community development director, deputy chief, public works, senior planning, et cetera, they keep going, all exceed the max range, which if you look at starting on page 12, just for ease, what I did is, if you want to, I don't know if you want to pull it up there so they can see it too. But so like for the first one, for Jasper's actual wage is $83. The range for the average is the bottom line. And I added a 3% COLA just to blanket because some are doing less or more or whatever it might be. So that's the new range. And if you do a 1 or a 2% COLA to Jasper's salary, he's still within the range. And that holds true for every single position. And it would hold true even with a 0% adjustment, which I'm not advocating, which I'm not saying, I'm just using it as a point of reference, that everyone is paid really well over market in several positions. And we can't sustain this long term. That's the big takeaway. We can't sustain it. The page 21 in the packet is where I broke down the differences. So the current pay scale, 22 is a 1% market adjustment. Page 23 is a 2% market adjustment. And then page 3 would be the 3% market adjustment. I think we need to take a hard look at whether or not we can afford to keep doing a 3%. I don't personally think we can. When I saw the numbers, that's when I told Jasper, I'm like, we need to bring it to council. It needs to be on a work session. Everyone needs to look at it and everybody needs to see what it is. And then I did, so, which isn't in the packet because I just did it today because my brain just doesn't shut off. If we do the 3%, if we do the 3% COLA, so Jasper, like just the top grade 12, step 10, it's currently at 88, 85 if we do a 3%. That's what would be Jan 1. Then in July, with step increase, assuming the top salary, just the bottom corner one, goes up to 91.51. Like that, it's a lot of money, and it's just compounding. So it's not about the levy, it's not about the $21,000, it's about the compounding of it as it keeps going, and $200,000 a year in salary increases. I don't know, Peter, you want to add some because you've been privy to all of my ramblings at the personnel committee.
I don't know if I can comment in quite such detail, but I appreciate you doing all the detail. Yeah, I mean, I think the last few years there's been quite a increase in inflation, and so wages have gone up quite a bit, and I think that we responded very well to that. That I think years past behind, and now I think we're solidly there. In fact, as you point out, we're maybe a little ahead of the game. So I feel like we're in a good spot now. But I think, yeah, if we continue at this rate, we are going to incur just costs we can't afford, and I think we'll actually be ahead of everyone else. So that's my concern, that it just if you compound at 6% a year, that's just, well, let's point out.
Well, let's do this, because you're looking, 3, 4, 5 years ahead. I think, and these are a lot of numbers, and I don't necessarily disagree that we can't keep doing this, but what we have to look at is the current market. And where are we at in the current market? In the current market, we're at 101%. So
Well,
we're right. I get to finish.
Yeah.
So we need to look at where we're at in the current market and where is our competition, and so if we have an opening in one of our departments, who are we up against? Because there aren't as many people applying for these jobs that used to be. We used to get, 20 years ago, seriously, when we had a job opening, we would get 15, 20 people. And I see, Paula, you understand that this is how it used to be. You would get 15, 20, 25 people applying for the same position. And of those people, you'd have 5 or 10 people that were qualified, well qualified. Today, we're lucky if we get 2 qualified people. And we just went through this with Allie's position, and we ended up with, a number of applicants, and of those applicants, we narrowed it down to 2, and that's what our choice was. So we need to be careful that we don't position ourselves outside of quality, and I'm going to emphasize quality employees. I think what we should do is I think we need to look at our steps and our step increases versus our cost of living or whatever you want to call it, our market adjustment, because I think that's where you can maybe do some negotiating, if you will. I think this year we should do the COLA, the 3%, because when I look at every other community in the area, Hennepin County and across the state, about 90% of them are doing 3%. But I do think we could take a look at our steps. Maybe the 2.5 is extended to 5 years or 6 years, or I don't have it in front of me. And then the 3% is extended up to 8 years. And then the 3.5 is just for the last 2 years, or adjust it some other way. But we need to stay current, because number one, most important, I think, we have a fabulous staff. We really do. Our department heads, all the way from Darcy at the front desk to David and our department heads and Gary, and we don't see what they put up with every day. And we don't see the workload that they do. But I know that they do a fantastic job.
And
we can
paid very
They are.
well.
They are, and that's not going to change if you adjust the COLA today. But if we take a look at the step increases and make some adjustments there, you're going to actually save more money, but you're still going to give them the COLA and you're still going to give them the steps. It's just not going to be the same as what it is today. We need to stay in the market. I think if we adjust it too much, we're not going to be in the market anymore.
So just one comment on that, because I did look at step increases. I have, you can ask Jasper, I probably have like 10 different spreadsheets with different steps and different increases on that. That's more of an impact to their salary and keeping them in the range. The easiest way, or not the easiest, the less impactful way to keep us still in this 90 to 110% range is to decrease the market adjustment in January instead of redoing all the steps. Because if you do the steps, then someone who thought they were going to be making, oh, there's someone. Sorry. So like you have someone who thought they would be making like Darcy, we'll take her. So she's at $32. Next, okay, this spreadsheet doesn't have the COLA in it, but so next year she'll go up to $33. Now, if you change the scale of the 2.5 and push that longer, now that pay doesn't go there. That your end amount gets lower, and then they're going to see that more so. That's more of a hit to the employee instead of a one-time 2% market adjustment instead of a 3%. And then we look at it again and go, look, we're still in this 90 to 110% range. Everyone is still paid well. And the biggest thing that I saw when I did that is if we do less than 3%, almost everyone is still within the min and max range of all the neighboring communities. And as we saw with Paula, our scale, our steps are good. They line up. The min and max range for the most of them are great. They don't have to be adjusted. They're fine.
But what you're doing is you're penalizing those individuals that have been here a long time and that have reached their max. Now they don't get the 3%, they only get 2%. And we all know that inflation is far more than 2%. And we also know that those individuals that have reached their max do a fantastic job.
They do a fantastic job.
So,
I mean, I think that is a problem with this pay scale that we need to solve too.
right.
You have these long-term employees that are extremely valuable and yet they're not getting these step increases, that they've maxed out that. And so to your point, they're just getting the market adjustment. So I think that's something we need to address too, to make sure that we keep, those people in it. So that kind of the other side of the discussion, I guess, is how do you keep long-term employees
Right.
incentivized?
Okay. Brian?
I just did one math question. So the raises are split between the COLA and the step. So like on page 3 where it adds them up, saying like 3% COLA plus 3% step is 6% increase. It's actually a little bit more than that because you're getting a raise on the previous raise.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. It's simplified for this because it varies depending on how much the wage is too a little bit. But yeah, it does compound. Yeah, I think you guys have all had really good points. I think, I'm fairly new here. I can still kind of say that at 3.5 years, but the employees that we've had that have been here a long time are something that I think we have to treat as a treasure, because, it would be, I don't know, we've seen it. I think we've seen it a few times where somebody leaves, we end up hiring somebody, paying more for less experience. And that's kind of the cycle that we want to avoid. So that's, how much do we want to emphasize that retainment piece of our pay plan? And it's really hard to, like, as Peter alluded to, like we don't want to disincentivize that. That's kind of why we have the pay plan structured the way it is. But how do you, keep them interested in being here? Continue to be here, right? And they might not want to, and they might want to go to a bigger city or something like that. We can't offer those kind of wages, but that's really how the tough thing to crack is, how do you make it equitable to all people that are in the pay plan for the non-union side?
And this may be a silly question since I've never worked in government, but are merit raises in a government setting not a thing?
Not a thing. No, you can do it,
Because it
but
makes sense.
it's not,
You can do it. So where I came from previous to this, we had merit-based pay. The biggest challenge with that is you have a department with maybe one person in it, and you say, okay, department head, you have this much to give to your, kind of like the private sector. You can divvy up, but you only have one person. So that one person knows they're going to get whatever the average is, whatever, so it ends up being very similar to what we do right now. But in areas like with Gary, where he's got multiple employees, they're union. So it's a different contract. So we're really only talking about 19 people for the non-union side. So that even gets that group smaller for the merit-based pay. Theoretically, yeah, great. If you do a great job, we're going to pay you more. But at the end of the day, if we only budget, 5.5% for merit and COLA, well, then you just get 5.5% if you're the only one in that department, or less. You could get less.
So it's effectively not merit and just a step.
It's hard to do in a small organization.
But the other thing we're not looking at is the step increase doesn't come in until mid-year. So you're not getting 3% or 3.5% or whatever that step increase is, 2.5 or 3.5. You're not getting that for the whole year. So basically, if you were to spread it out for the whole year, you're only getting 1.5 or 1.25. So for the year, for the whole year. So, that's the other thing to look at too. But,
So it's somewhere between, if it'd be 5.5 to 6.5, it'd be somewhere between there total. It wouldn't be exactly one of those. So.
yeah. So I think, so here's the thing. I think we need to look at salaries annually, but I do think it is extremely important, and I'm just sorry to pick on you, David, but we need to keep people like David and Nick because of our growth and development, and they've been here a long time, and they know the city, and they know our ordinances, and they know the developers that want to come here. That's invaluable, and I don't want to say, well, you only get 2% because you're already at the top of your range. They may be at the top of their range, but they are worth it. And I honestly, I can't tell you how, I was here when we didn't have such good city planners, and I can tell you it caused problems. And we've had some good ones over the years, but right now, between Nick and David and Robert and Gary, whatever, Ryan. Okay, we have a fantastic planning department. There's no doubt about it. I get calls from people saying, "Oh, I talked to Nick and he was just fantastic. Oh, I talked to David. They were so helpful." So please keep that in mind. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate Gary. We were just talking about that give him a lot of grief, and so keep that in mind, and and I just if we have to pay them a little bit more than the going rate, or than maybe what Mound pays them, for this year, I really think it's worth it. I don't disagree that we need to take a look at the overall thing, way we're doing it. And there's some changes I think could occur. So if I could suggest we go with staff's recommendation for 2025, we give this back to the personnel committee and they come back with something that we can have more time to digest and that they address some of these issues. I agree we can't sustain maybe 250,000 every year. I agree. So let's figure it out. Let's figure out how we can stay in the market and how we can reward our good long-term employees and how we can also manage the budget a little
So,
bit.
Just, again, I'll reiterate this. This solves this problem. It keeps us in the market. They're still going to get a raise. It's not,
But like David is only going to get 2%.
yes, but David, no offense again, David, he's already paid over market. We can't keep paying
You know why?
on over market because in,
Years I was paid under market.
yes,
Exactly.
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only that, but he's being paid over market because we wanted to keep him.
I understand that,
We needed to keep him.
but we have to look at the overall finances for the city.
But we are. Okay, so
We haven't heard from Claudia.
You know, as a newer council member, and as a person that looks at every dollar, again, it's like a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. You just said something that was meaningful. You were underpaid for years. I didn't know that. Is that correct?
That's 100%
That's-
correct.
that's
Yeah, I mean,
Well, thank you for
2022.
saying that,
And it-
because it's information that I didn't have 10 seconds ago. But again, that's a lot of money for this council, for this city to be coming up with every year. But we want to, how much does it cost to, and time and effort to hire new people? I hear what you're saying, Mayor.
Yeah.
Thank you. You've been here a long time and you know. So again, but everything that Kathleen says makes sense. I mean, is this something it's always going to be uncomfortable to talk about this. Do we bring this up every year and look at each year? We're doing well as a city right now. You know, this is tough. I don't know.
it is a tough decision. And I understand Kathleen's position about, in your position, looking at every dollar that we spend. I absolutely do.
Sorry, may I add one more thing, Mayor? Just really quickly before it
Yeah.
falls out of my head. Not everybody gets a raise every year, or, you know, not everybody gets a cost of living increase every year. I mean.
Well, but we have to compare ourselves to other cities,
I
because
agree.
again, as we know, people are offered jobs from other cities, and if they want to leave, they're going to leave if they don't feel appreciated and they don't feel that we're paying them. No, I'm not disputing that David or that others. There are a few other people. I know there's Lori that's also, if you will, say overcompensated, but it's because they've been here so long. That's one of the things. And so all I'm saying is I would rather pay them more and cut in other areas so that we can continue a high level and quality service that our residents demand and want and deserve. That's where I'm coming from. And that's what we can do.
Where would you, give me a few suggestions as to where cuts would come from?
Well, first of all, what staff is being proposed is in our budget. Okay, that's already there. So we wouldn't really have to maneuver money around, but we will have to when we talk about the 16th officer. And so I've already talked to staff about that, and they have to come back and tell us where we could maneuver some funds around. So, but for this purpose, it was already budgeted.
maybe just for one more piece of context, we have had wage freezes here in my time, and Angie and David, there has been where we've gotten 0 or 1% before. So we haven't been immune to that in the government sector at City of Minnetrista.
Thank you for that.
So,
I don't agree. I think we should do a 2%.
okay, all right. And So what will, I think that's fine. I mean, I understand. Where do, Brian?
Yep.
Yep,
No additional questions?
okay. Any,
I think we should do the 2% too. I also think we need to think about the long-term employees and see if we can maybe change the plan to, address their continued growth. So
okay.
We have like 20 options. We can have a really long personnel committee meeting.
looking forward to it.
I would say 2% as well.
Brian?
I guess it's plurality already. I think your argument's compelling that, we probably need to look at this with a fresh lens. I mean, if it's budgeted, it's budgeted for that. And I guess I would rather make sure that we're taking a long, deep look at it rather than kind of shooting from the hip, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So if we've budgeted for this year, I think what is budgeted is sufficient for this year. Then we'd revisit it next year with a more a longer, deeper thought of it.
Well, I'm for the 3%, and I'm for revisiting or doing a deep dive next year so that we can come up with a really good plan to address the deficiencies with the current plan. Meaning also the deficiency of maybe trying to figure out how we're going to continue or not continue with the huge increases. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So I think this is on our regular agenda, or will it come back?
It is, and we're looking for direction so that, as the budget continues to move forward in December, we have something that we can plug in. One question I have is if there's an appetite at all to do any sort of, pay plan compensation study. One thing I will note, we do have 4 union contracts coming up next year that need to be settled before 2027. That will be part of the 2027 budget. So there's that piece too, kind of stemming from the original conversation about wage compression. That's on the police side, that's one of our biggest concerns is the compression between the sergeants, the deputy chief, and the chief. There's substantial overlap between the sergeants and the deputy chief. That's up to like 80% overlap between those two positions, and they're quite different between the two. The sergeants and the deputy chief,
And-
what they do. So I want to see if there's any
Well,
appetite.
come back with, tell us how much it would cost, because I think in order to be competitive, we need to find out what other cities and how we compare.
Don't we already have that?
I don't know.
I mean,
Well,
we've got
for current-
spreadsheets and spreadsheets of
Oh,
what
yeah.
everybody is paying. So I mean, I don't think we necessarily need to do it unless there's some drastic change in the market, but based on everything that
No.
we've reviewed over the last 3 months, it doesn't seem that our pay scale is off.
Well, we should have a,
Correct. So
how do you say?
We have,
we have the data.
We have
Put it
data.
together then.
If I may, I think it might be looking at the pay plan itself to see if there's a way. I think I've heard some comments about trying to figure out a way to incentivize longevity maybe a little bit differently than what we do right now. We have the data, the data is pretty accessible, especially for our comparable cities. I think it'd be like, is this pay plan structure what we want it to be? And does it
Well, I
accomplish
think
what we
that's
want to
something,
do?
that's something I think you can work out with the personnel committee. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So this will come back. I'm assuming it won't be on a consent agenda item since there might be a split vote. So you'll have to bring it back at a regular meeting for approval.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Do that.
All right. Okay. Next is our water fund budget discussion. Do you think, okay, real quick, how long is that going to take?
Take 5 minutes, it could take 50 minutes, I guess. Or, I mean, I'm thinking more closer to the
Up to
5, 10, 20, I guess, or.
I could just ask my questions now and that'll probably
I
speed
mean,
it up.
if everyone's read the packet, I don't
Yeah,
really need
yeah.
to go
Okay,
to anything. I
all
mean,
right. Okay,
Yeah.
so 20% and then 20% and I think it was 15% and so on. Okay.
So the 20 and what happens if we have a wet season and we don't have it? Like, that's been my concern the whole time is we're banking all on everybody using a lot of water, but like, I didn't use as much water in quarter 3. I mean, it sounds bad, but I used less than 25,000 gallons in quarter 3 and I usually use more. So like,
Yeah. No, I mean, that
Or-
is the
Do we-
risk.
yeah, I
as
mean,
far
do we
as-
need to bank in, like we said before, a fee just for the treatment plant?
Yeah.
Because I'm very scared about relying 100% on water sales and water connections.
I guess that would be for the council to decide if they'd want some more, we have the base rate, that's $40 now, that, it's 49 proposed for next year. But yeah, whether there's any type of additional treatment
Well,
fee,
So
flat.
a couple, what if we, okay, and I was thinking of some kind of a treatment plant fee, but then I don't know how many calls we would get, how much kickback or, pushback we would get. But I think it's more fair because everybody needs a treatment plant. I mean, everybody needs it. But then the other question too, as part of this discussion is, I think, and I've heard from a number of residents, that they think we should be going to a monthly billing.
I've
And
been
so-
saying that for 5 years.
And so I think,
Expensive.
maybe, maybe not, but I do think we need to build that into, and maybe, and I was talking with Jasper, sorry, ladies, but maybe just going a part-time billing person or utility billing person for now, see how that goes. And then if it has to work into a full-time, we can add that, but maybe start at part-time, but doing monthly billing for the water users, not for the rural area where they, that would be stupid to do monthly billing because it's $45 a quarter. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to send out cards for what, $12 or, $15. I'm sorry, but I'm sure we could quite easily figure out who to bill on a monthly basis for water and sewer. Then they also would get a fraction of the storm sewer and recycling. I honestly think we absolutely need to do that next, because what I've heard too, and I think this is to your point, Kathleen, then people can see on a monthly basis what their water usage is, and they can ratchet back, they can add more, whatever, they can make those adjustments. Plus, they don't get this $500 or $600 bill every 3 months. They get a $200 bill every month. I mean, so I think that should be part of the equation. I really do.
If I may, we did an initial analysis of this maybe 2 years ago, I think. I think staff would like to maybe talk to other staff to see what kind of bandwidth is available, and then we can
That's
come
fine.
back. If
Come
the
back.
direction is, hey, we want to do monthly billing, I think then we could kick it back to staff and then.
I think we want to do monthly billing.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so we're not kicking it
Okay.
back. We're just saying we want
So
monthly
then
billing.
let us figure out what kind of bandwidth we have, and then we
Right.
can come back and at the next water budget update, we can
Yes.
just kind of say, hey, I think we can do this with probably a part-time, or we think,
Okay.
whatever it is.
And can we electronically bill people and so it doesn't have to be
There is that option already.
I mean, that sounds like.
So
a
people just have
great
to sign up.
cheap. Yeah, but,
Incenting people to sign up.
yeah.
We could look at that. We could do a bill credit or something like that. I've seen that done before to get people to sign up.
No, we want the money. We need the money.
It's wonderful.
There's quite a few that,
Bunch of
I don't know
costs.
what the saturation is.
Calling everyone.
So that's one thing. So, and rather than, here's the thing, rather than calling it, I'm not trying to disguise it, but maybe what we need to do, to Kathleen's point, is maybe we need to raise the base fee. Maybe the base fee needs to go up versus a treatment plant fee.
That's fine.
Because, I think when people, I don't know, I mean, it's kind of one and the same, but, or maybe we just bill $50 every month as a base fee versus, because it's $50 a quarter now, right?
It's what's proposed.
Yeah, okay, so rather than $50 a quarter, maybe it's $50 a month. You have to figure out maybe what we need for a base fee, but I don't know.
Probably if we're gonna add a flat fee, probably would be better to do just the base rate, because I think anytime you add an additional fee,
Right,
I think people don't like that. The only other comment, I mean, the monthly billing will be fine, we'll figure that out, but I don't think it's gonna be a panacea for everything. I mean,
it's gonna be a what?
I don't think it's gonna just help and make everything go away by going to monthly billing. I mean, so we shouldn't be fooling ourselves. by
No,
that.
I know that.
Whether you pay it $2,000 in semi-annual, quarterly, monthly, you're still paying $2,000 for water. So
Yes, but the shock would be a lot less than the
Yeah.
$700 bill
Yeah.
and, you know.
I'd rather get a
800 or 900.
I'd rather get a $250 bill every month versus a $800 bill
yeah.
once every quarter. I mean, something, whatever. I mean, you two are on water. I mean,
I've said monthly billing since I moved here.
Brian,
I like the idea. My first year here, I think I had a $3,000 water bill for the summer. But I like the idea
Like the water
of
usage.
having a broad base because I know my water bill for the last 2 summers was like $300.
Yeah.
And so clearly that's a good chunk of change the city's not getting.
yeah, right. So look at the base rate and, and see if we should adjust that a little bit. What would that do? We're probably still going to have to raise the rates by probably 18 to 20%.
No,
Now, you're saying in addition.
yeah, it's not that I don't want the rates to go up. I understand why they need to, but we also need to bank on people using less water with the rates going up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah, and I had a question too, because it looks like this year we're about 25% below what the revenue is there.
Nah, it'll
Is that
probably be
right?
closer to like 1.5, 1.6. It's the way it gets reported, sort of a cash base, and we go to accrual based on third quarter isn't really reflected in that year-to-date amount yet.
Because it said through September, but okay.
It is, but it's basically the cash amounts received through September. So the bills just went out the door.
and they're not due
Oh.
until
September, so
November
that-
17th.
That 600,000 that was just billed here in third quarter will be basically paid
Oh,
between
okay.
now and November 15th.
Okay, so it's actually maybe a little ahead, is that what you're saying?
No,
Or
I think
it'll
we'll be a
about-
little behind because basically we'll get another probably like 600,000 between now and year end or whatever,
Okay,
is what I'm projecting. So we might be like 100,000 or so light compared to budget based on the wet summer.
okay.
So to my point, we can't rely on the usage fees to cover.
Well, and not only that, but the school is probably also cutting their usage because they have their own well for their irrigation now. So that's also impacting us.
Well, and if we have a real slowdown in construction, I know we built that in for next year, but
Yeah.
if the following years we have that and we're expecting what, 4.5% growth, that, that could really slow. So I think having a
Right.
higher base makes sense.
Okay.
I know we'll get a lot of phone calls on it, but. I think
But we'll
it's
have a
okay.
town hall and it'll just be full of people who want to learn all about the water.
Mayor can take the darts.
Yeah.
Gee, thanks, guys.
They should have an open bar for that one. too. That helps.
No, but I think too, what I would like to say before January, so for instance, so if we do monthly billing, probably they wouldn't get their monthly bill until February, right? I mean,
Depends on if you implement it in winter or spring or summer or how.
I think we need to start implementing it as
I mean,
soon
how
as
quickly can we
possible.
implement it? I mean, I'm not saying like.
We'd have to go through it and talk
Okay.
to Banyan and see what it would take.
Okay.
We've looked at it a little bit, I know.
The biggest is, like you said earlier, the third quarter. So I mean, I don't
Right.
think anyone really says much in the first quarter, second quarter next year. It'd be obviously the third quarter of.
But it'd be good to start implementing it as soon as possible because once the costs for the treatment plant hit us in 2027, is that the first year or do we have to make a payment in 26?
It'll be our first, we'll have an interest payment, I'm thinking in 2027.
Okay,
2028 will be our first full year
so
payment.
we still want to kind of put some funds in the bank.
Yeah, we want to start it in
Since we want to
26.
start building up that fund balance so that if we have a wet year and we don't sell as much water, then we have some wiggle room there. So I think as soon as possible.
Well, I think the money would get there whether we bill it quarterly or monthly or whatever, but it's more, do you want to increase the rates for 26 and get ramping up for, I
Right.
assume we do, and I
Yeah.
think
Right.
that's what we got presented,
Right.
but,
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't think it's more of a it's to have the cash ready for 27, 28, like
Right.
you're saying, or whatever.
So if our first payment is in 27, do we have to ramp it up 20% in 2026? Can we ramp it up 15% and then ramp it up 20% and then, you know what I'm saying?
Good. I mean, I guess it's probably, I don't know,
Can you, when you come back with all the information, can you bring us an actual bill and say, okay, this is what people are doing right now. So here's a few examples.
I think I have one. You should have it.
And then,
Where I had one.
and just say,
I
and
finally get rid of it.
with a 20% increase, this is what their bill would look like. And with,
With medium usage.
yeah,
or something.
and then
Yeah.
this is what a 15% increase, so that we can kind of visualize it. I just, to me,
Took it out.
once I see dollar numbers versus percentages, it kind of is a little
More real.
clearer. Yeah,
And it's going to vary based on
usage.
the month too.
And can you-
We can give you the app. We kind of, Brian and I sat down and did this where we kind of broke it down by quarter.
Okay,
And what that quarterly bill would be for Q1, 2, 3, or 4. We could kind of look at it on a monthly basis too and make some estimations.
okay.
Well, yeah, and if you can project, like if we, like for the base rate, if that goes to like $75 a
Thank
month, can you project what that income would be then?
Yeah, based on
With-
the number of accounts we have, I guess, times.
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah, and do like a $50 a month, a $75 a month, and a $100 a month, just so we can gauge like what,
What guaranteed revenue
Yeah,
would be
what the
versus
guaranteed
what
would be.
usage or.
yeah.
That should be
Okay.
fine.
All right, any other, do you need any more direction? Are we all in
So,
agreement here?
so monthly billing is thumbs up from everybody or
Mhm.
most people. And then we're going to just try to figure out some different options for rates using the base fee, move that around and then adjust the rates accordingly. So,
Okay,
higher the base rate, the lower the maybe increase for the percentage of the fees are and, how that moves around. and
Okay.
See if you guys can figure out the sweet spot where you want it to
Okay.
sit.
and then once we've decided on these new rates, I really would like to send out a postcard, separate from anything else, but a postcard to all of the water users, telling them we're going to monthly billing, the rates are increasing, why the rates are increasing.
Just how much the treatment plant is costing.
And it's not just that treatment plant, it's, we still have debt from the other treatment plants. So, and maybe that would help some of the phone calls, because I don't want to, I know that Renee and Darcy are going to get inundated with these calls, and I'm sure they would appreciate any information that's out there previous to when they get hit with the new bill.
I think you had mentioned this to me before and we had talked with A2S and we're going to get something out. I think if everything moves forward and tonight the plant gets approved, it'd be in November. Send something out in November,
Okay,
a newsletter to all.
but if we do a newsletter, then it's kind of buried in that newsletter. So
It would just be a water newsletter.
Okay,
That's it.
okay,
Just strictly
okay.
about
Just-
water.
just to
So like
the
a one
water.
pager, yeah,
Okay,
something like
yeah.
that. No other city stuff in there. It'd be
Okay.
separate from our messenger and things like
Okay.
that. It would just be
Yeah.
for water to the water users. So
all right, sounds good. All right. All right. Then
Hard to grab.
hardscrabble update.
yeah.
This is
well,
the fun one.
This is the fun one. So I've been, and I didn't put much in the packet because there's ongoing conversations between myself and the settlement agreement person. So here's what he would like to see. And I've talked to him. I think this would be fine. It's almost full circle from what we originally intended to do. So interesting. The only addition is really the sign. So he would like to install a sign at the entrance, one single sign at the entrance of Hardscrabble Circle that basically just says construction parking prohibited. That's it. We would then remove all the existing no parking permanent signs. We would send a memo to the neighborhood describing the settlement agreement terms and the construction parking expectations. What that does is it puts the onus on the residents to self-report. So if there's an issue, somebody will call us. It would probably be Mr. Smith calling us if there's an issue. But so it wouldn't be our police. It's kind of pulling the police out of the whole equation, except in a situation where the road is blocked and emergency personnel can't get through.
Like really blocked, or someone's definition of blocked?
Like 20 feet or less is what his definition is. NFPA standard, the fire protection standards, 20 feet or less is what he said. So, but tips or violations would be processed through City Hall. So they'd come in, somebody'd call, and then it'd go to the building department. The building department would then talk to the permit holder, try to figure out and say, hey, as a reminder, you need to get your people, in and out as quickly as you can if you are going to do that. So it's more simple. It's kind of how we intended to enforce it from the beginning, minus the sign, but the sign doesn't give the police any authority to write a ticket for anything.
Well, that's meaningless then.
So, but the idea is that he's okay with the police not writing tickets and the building department contacting the contractors.
But that doesn't help you when you're trying to go home and you can't get home because the road is blocked.
But the police could go then.
They
and
could,
say-
if the road is blocked,
Then-
definitely the police could get called
The
and
police can write a ticket.
for that, for sure.
They don't have to go knock on all the doors at 10 o'clock at night to
No.
find the person to move their car.
It depends on how nice they want to be, probably. But they could if a car is blocking a road, they have every right to tow that car immediately because it's a hazard to everybody.
For safety.
When we tow a car, where does it go in Minnetrista?
And who does it? And how far are they away from being,
It goes to, Madam Mayor, members of council, it goes to Williams Towing, so here in town.
where are they located?
Just off Highway 7, just across from Buddy Boy on the,
Oh, marvelous.
Would
So-
this include people that are like lawn mowing and things like that, or?
No, so they would be exempt. So day laborers or however you want to categorize them, they are exempt from this. They'd be able to park. So that's going to be the problem. I mean, it's always going to be a problem. Who's doing what? One of the complaints that we had this year was a tree service that was parking on the road. Well, if a tree service is there, that could be going to some individual's
Sure.
property. We'd do our best to reach out to the contractor and say, hey, is this your subcontractor or whatever? Tell them they can't park on the road. They have to park on site. So
Oh,
to me, it's a better solution than putting up a bunch of signs or having the police going out there patrolling all the time. It kind of puts the onus on the residents to self-regulate this. And we'll see how it works, but it seems like this would be an adequate
Yeah.
way to approach the settlement agreement from this individual's standpoint.
Chief, what do you think of it?
I think it's a good idea. I mean, just because we didn't have a lot of teeth before, so from a legal standpoint, we were kind of I don't want to say a paper tiger, but we were mostly just asking people to move the vehicles. So short of them being in the no parking zone that was already marked where we could issue a ticket, there wasn't much we could do. So I think this is a good solution.
But you don't have to go out every single day.
Yeah, that's great.
To,
Correct.
patrol. So that was a real huge, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so the only way the police really get involved is if there's a road blockage of some sort.
Yeah.
Then that's when somebody could call 911 and say, hey, my road's blocked. Get somebody out here.
All right.
Great. Good.
That sounds
Good.
great.
Good.
Okay.
Well done.
Yeah.
All right, so we won't be doing the ordinance. We won't be doing any sort of public hearing or anything like that. We'll try this, see how it works.
Okay. See if, okay, hopefully it solves the problem. All right. Good job, Steph. Discuss installation of four-way stop at the Lotus Drive and Sunset Lane.
Madam Mayor, members of council, we have Allison Fauski. She's going to talk about this. Gary might give some input as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor and Council. So over the past month, staff has received numerous complaints of a visibility issue at the intersection of Lotus Trail, and then Sunset Lane is to the north and Wolfberry Curve is to the south. This is the location of the intersection. So on the next slide, I show the issue as you see as you're traveling westbound on Lotus Drive. So there's 3 monuments that weren't shown on the plan. The plan that was submitted with the development is a clip of it. It's on the left there. They showed that there would be, in the middle part, that there would be some landscaping. So there's certainly been some more work that's been done at the intersection than we originally anticipated. And then on the next slide, I show the eastbound Lotus Drive. And so the area of concern is on the left side of this photo. You can see that there's some trees. You kind of have to squint a little bit, but you can see the stop. I'm sorry, not the stop signs, the street name signs, just where that White House is on the right side. And then Sunset Lane would be on the left. So we've got a curve coming through there. And then you can see here, this is looking from Sunset. Lotus Drive well, into the picture there. So we have some sightline issues through there. I did have, we talked to the police department talked to the resident there at the corner of Sunset and Lotus about some of the trimming back some of the grasses, decorative grasses that were a little high, and they did that. But beside that issue, I did have a traffic engineer take a look at it from a stopping sight distance, all the technical components of it, and the recommendation from the traffic engineer was to install a four-way stop due to the stopping distance or the sightline.
Sightline distance.
Thank you. So with that, we wanted to bring this to council just because from a staff standpoint, we do get, depending on the year, you get requests for stop signs. So we don't want to put these up intermittently, but we also do want to take a look at it from these standpoints when we do have a technical expert take a look at it and bring it to council so that we have good documentation on if council approves it later on this evening, why that stops condition was installed. And so if that's something council's willing to consider, this graphic shows the proposed the proposed signage that would be put up. So we already have a stop condition on Sunset Trail and Wolfberry Curve. And so new stop signs would be installed on Lotus Drive. And then stop ahead signs would be installed on Lotus Trail just to notify drivers that there's a change in traffic control ahead of time. So, or ahead of them. So with that, I would be happy to answer any, one last thing. Cost of this would be just over $500 for the actual signs themselves. There would be a couple of them, the temporary signs that show the change in traffic control ahead. Those could be used at a separate time. But we do have $500 for the signage, but that does not include public works staff time to go out and install those signs. So
hold
happy to
on,
answer
just a minute. I went out and because I wanted to see what, and there's actually kind of like almost like a little bit berm.
Yeah.
So taking the trees out for me in my low car, that wouldn't help.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there was a sightline issue, like you said, going to the west. So, I mean, it's pretty serious. So if it's a safety issue, I always say, $500 or whatever it might cost is worth for safety. That's my opinion. The only other thing I want to say, and then I'll hand it over to anybody else that wants to say something, is recently I've been in other communities, and a lot of times when they have a four-way stop, they have pedestrian striping, crossing, and I wonder if we want to add that to this area as well. That's all I want to say. Okay, Kathleen.
There's a tree on the southwest corner by that black house.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get them to take that down? Because that's going to be a problem in like 2 years, because I drive that all the time, actually. I don't really care if you put the stop sign in. People are going to roll through it if they want to. They do it through all of the ones on all of those streets.
But why would they have to take the tree down then?
Because it's in the sight line, and once it gets a little bigger and it's not this little tiny thing,
Actually, it might be better.
well, no, and you don't have a picture, I don't think, of that corner,
I don't know.
but it's right, it's like right here.
Mm.
Like it's in a bad spot. And I have a SUV and a truck, and I think it's in a bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that tree needs to go. And I don't care about the stop signs. And if you want to stripe the whole thing, go for it. The crosswalks are kind of goofy anyways, because one is on this side and then you have to cross onto a non-sidewalk street to then cross onto a sidewalk street. So the sidewalks are weird in that area. But I don't care. You put the stop signs in.
I want to know
You
how
weren't
a stop
expecting that,
sign
were
is.
you?
How's a
You thought I
stop
was gonna
sign
be against them.
$500?
I don't care.
I'm amazed. I'm amazed. All right. Peter?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to put it in.
Okay.
I want to know why a stop sign's $500.
Hey, that's not bad.
For a stop sign? I mean, on a metal.
That's two stop signs.
Yeah.
There's two of them.
Oh,
Can we
two
get
of
the
them.
really, really big ones?
Plus, I think you have the other two more saying
50, I got it.
stop sign ahead or whatever.
We have 6 signs total, Madam Mayor. So some of them, and as Gary just pointed out, some of them have the little flashers on them.
Yeah.
with.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I drive that every day and that's problematic.
It is.
That Lotus part there is too narrow for the amount of traffic it gets. And
Mhm.
you can only see it a little bit. There's like almost a jog to the left.
Mhm.
And
Well,
I
and
can't tell
it-
you how many times.
Yeah,
I've
the road
almost
isn't the
head
same
on
width.
somebody.
It's weird. It's a weird intersection.
Yeah, so I think that stop sign will solve multiple.
Why
issues
did they
there.
get to put the monuments in if they weren't on the plan on the sides?
They look good.
I don't have an answer. But I did want to provide council with, with what was seen on the landscaping plan. And certainly, in any future development plan that's submitted, we'll be taking a closer look with something like this so that we're not in this situation again, that if there's a warrant for a four-way stop, it goes in right away.
Mhm.
That would be the plan.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, so go for it.
Madam Mayor, this is actually an item on the regular agenda this evening. We wanted to bring it to the work session for a more informal discussion before action on the regular meeting.
It's like right there. It's horrible.
Mhm.
When you stop here, because I always come this way and go here, and you can't see well coming this way because of where that tree is. So when it gets bigger, it's gonna be horrible. That's what I was talking about.
All right,
We can have Gary look at it. He's the tree guy
It's all trees.
for in the right of way. We don't like him in the right of way.
Right away.
I
But-
don't like any of them in the right of way. There's also two on the other. If you're really
Yeah.
gonna be
I mean,
technical,
I
there's.
think that
Where would
we
the other
should get
stop?
rid of the trees in the right of way on that corner. It's already bad. A stop sign's not gonna make it better, and the trees get bigger, it's gonna be a problem.
I don't think
There are
that's.
two on the northeast.
Yeah.
They're just gonna be just as bad for the stop sign visibility.
Yeah,
So
they're gonna cover
They
it.
need to come out. I mean, there's no
I-
doubt about it. Those two, and there's actually two on that other corner. That should come out for visibility.
You might get a lot of pushback from the people on the.
They're in the right of way. We can do what we want, seriously.
I know,
I'm just
I know
throwing it out
that,
there.
I know that, but
Well, they can move them over onto their property more. They could put them here where they won't be in the sight line.
Yeah.
Like they can,
The northwest, the north.
Yeah, the northwest.
Be five in
Yeah.
that corner.
it's bad.
5 trees in that corner right there alone.
Mhm.
I mean, if we're fully concerned about safety, you need to move the trees that are blocking the sight lines.
I didn't see.
It's just gonna get, like Councilwoman said, it's just gonna get worse as these get bigger. I mean, we have this problem all over in Hunters. We have a problem starting here. I mean, they're right now, the way the signs are, they block stop signs, they block lights, they block streets name signs. I mean, it's terrible the way it's set up this way. It's just, it's not a good practice to have them that close to the curb,
Right,
or in between the sidewalk and the curb. I mean, I understand the appeal of it, but I always say, put them in the people's yard and let them keep it and get it off our right of way.
Yeah.
Less maintenance for us in the long run, and we're replacing sidewalks now on Hunter's Crest that are heaving because of tree roots.
Well, I mean, the
Yes.
trails in Woodland Cove are heaving from them too.
Yeah,
So.
they're terrible.
well,
From a
they-
maintenance standpoint, they're, don't get me wrong, I love a tree lined street, but they need to be farther out and let them grow over a canopy.
Mhm.
okay. Is that a public works decision or, I mean, I don't want to cut trees down.
Well, they're little enough. They'll
Just
be able
ask
to
them.
move them. I mean,
We could
the-
move them.
Ask them where they want to put
this
them.
one is brand new. It went in this summer. I mean, they can still move them.
All these can be moved.
Not
I mean, we
a
are moving
100-year-old
trees in
oak.
for the new water treatment plant out of that
If you
park.
can move them and they're willing to
We can
have
put them in
them,
their yard. or
their
we can
yard,
Send them a
yeah,
letter and ask
that's
them.
nice.
then that's
goodwill.
let's do that if we can. I'd prefer that versus just going in and ripping them out because then you're going to get people thinking it's their tree, which it's not, but still they think it's their tree.
Mhm.
So if you say, hey, we have to remove these for sightline issues, we could put it in your yard. Are you interested in that?
That's nice. I like that.
So, all right,
Yes.
all right. You're on board with that.
I am.
Yeah, all right, yay, yay, all right. Then I think that concludes our work session discussion and we can be adjourned and you can have a bite to eat before 6:30.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
And Claudia made that second. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. We will be back at 6:30.
Oh, you need your charger, huh?
There's plenty of